You could become anyone and anything you want at any time in your life. Like, there is no limit.
You will never in life meet a hater doing better than you.
Anything in life that you put your mind to, you can do. The world is your oyster. That's all I tell people.
The heaviest things in life aren't iron and gold, but unmade decisions. The reason you are stressed is that you have decisions to make and you're not making them.
Finding and learning from everybody else on what they're doing, their negatives and their positives, and create your own lane. So therefore, anytime you come across opportunities, you guys have the leverage. And every day, the same answer came back to me. Do you want to be on your deathbed knowing that you could, but you didn't?
Don't follow what most people do because you don't want the results that most people get. The average person is obese, likely to be divorced, and has less than 1K in the bank. It feels safe to do what everyone else is doing, but it's actually a terrible decision.
You got to just put your mind to it, man. And when you are in that mode where you're grinding and coming up, you got to just be like straight on that. Like no partying, no going out, no distractions, lock in. That's it.
This is my experience in life. The only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer to grow. To grow, you must suffer.
As long as you keep going, you bear witness to yourself of what you are capable of. And I find that incredibly satisfying in the trenches of misery when you have to go through it.
I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep.
Delusional.
Complete delusion. You got to believe the delusion. Because it's only delusional until it works. So is it really delusional?
Anything that you can think of, you need to love pain to be an athlete. And I know, no pain, no this, whatever, all the, the
correct sense.
Oh my, no, this is real. You need to love pain.
When we were young, we're told we can be anything. And then we realize it's a lie. And then we realize we're telling ourselves it's a lie because we actually just realize how much work it's going to take. And we'd rather believe it's a lie than we're not willing to work hard enough to achieve these things. And then it's kind of like this back and forth of like, can I? Or is it just too hard? Or am I just too weak?
As soon as he said, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, I think people stopped thinking about goals. And he made a really great argument, which was everybody at the start line of the 100-meter race has the same goal. It's to win. So it's not the person who has the best goals, it's the person who has the best systems and preparation.
Our hedonic system should be designed to keep finding the best thing you can achieve. So as I said before, it's not worth you being depressed every day because you're not Elon Musk. There's no point into it. But you should identify what is the best thing you can achieve. Really best thing, and then aim for it.
Am I happy? I don't know. Never really thought about it. Don't really care about it. Because all I really cared about was when I looked in that fucking mirror, I saw a piece of shit. Happiness wasn't on the mirror at 16 or when I was 300 pounds. It wasn't like, oh, I'm looking for happiness. No, I'm look at myself in the mirror and say, all right, motherfucker, you did it again today.
Stop breaking promises to yourself. When you say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 7 a.m., and when the option comes to hit the snooze button, don't do it. There's one win that you've got for the day. That's action, right? And it is just, it's tried to say the Peterson clean your room thing, but the reason that works is that you start with the smallest ever step and you expand out from that.
When you're young, you can pick a fight and you can win. Some of them. And when you're older and you're busted up, I got plates and screws in my neck and I got joints are out of shape and stuff, you're not going to win that fight anyhow. Not physically anymore. And so that's where you start saying, you know what, I need to approach this in a better way.
To get anything of value, you have to sacrifice.
I know that, Dad, but I think if we continue down this road, it's going to be too detrimental for the kids. It's just too hard.
Do you know that the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing? Nothing that has meaning is easy. Easy doesn't enter into grown-up life.
Like I want to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, come on, man, we're going running. Like I want to see what you do when you're tired. Let me see how you push yourself. Come on, man. Get up. Get up again tomorrow. Get up again tomorrow. Get up again tomorrow. The next day. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Keep going. How long can you maintain a positive attitude? Where's all this teaching? You're teaching people. You can't do shit yourself. You need to show people that you can do it. The best motivational speakers to me are guys like David Goggins.
You have to have a dog in you, man. And so you have to have it, like my grandfather called it, a stiff upper lip. You better have a stiff upper lip. So, you know, yeah, she has some dog in her. She has some dog in her. She has to. There's no other way to make it out here. I mean, you can't just always be, you know, head down in the sand. You got to learn to pick yourself up on your own. A lot of times these fights and these battles, you got to be your own fucking coach. You got to be your own motivator.
It was isolation, it was visualization, it was motivation, and it was dedication. There was nothing else going on in my life, you know what I mean?
And you don't like people too, right?
I mean, it's not that I don't like people, it's just that I'd rather just, this needs to be, to get to the level that you need to get to the pinnacle, it needs to be like that. It needs to be no outsiders. It needs to be, you need to have your team and your focus, and that's it. I don't need friends that aren't involved in this game.
Life's hard, and sometimes we don't need Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, is that what they call it? We need Men's Grow a Set Month. We need Men Stop Whining Month. Now, I know things are hard for some of you. I know things are extremely difficult for some of you. Things have been hard for me around here. I don't get on here and post it. I'm not going to now. But we all go through it, and that's the reason I'm talking to you tonight. Sometimes you look at people on the screen and you think that's distant and they're separated and they're not going through what you're going through. Listen, man, we all go through it.
Winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. So the same thing goes with competitors. Winners focus on customers, competitors focus on winners. They're always trying to copy you, but because they're trying to copy you, they're not looking at their customers, they're looking at you. And so they're completely distracted. They're not looking at the data source that matters most. First off, if anyone ever copies you, you've already won because they need you, you don't need them. You should be afraid when people stop copying you because it means that you've got nothing. And so I see people copying what I'm doing as a positive sign that I'm on the right path rather than a distraction that merits all of my attention getting redirected to trying to destroy someone.
Just go for a fucking walk every day. It sounds like it's easy to do, but there's gonna, when that walk comes, when you look at your clock, oh, it's 8 o'clock, time to go for that walk. You're like, I don't want to walk. I would just rather play video games. I don't want to walk. I'd rather like read emails. I don't want to walk. I'd rather like scroll through TikTok. But if you just force yourself to go for that fucking walk every day, you will develop mental perseverance. You will develop some tenacity. You'll develop the ability to force yourself into work. It doesn't have to be grueling. It just has to be a thing that you have to do.
You just eliminate all external distractions, you know, that's what's going on, and just focus on the process itself and enjoying it every single day. Chopping wood, carrying water. You know, greatness is not meant for a few chosen people. It's meant for those who persistently pursue their dreams every day and make that choice when they wake up. So just a mentality, really. As much as I would love to be up here and tell you guys all of what I'm thinking, I just know that the process itself is something I need to focus on rather than trying to appease anybody in here. You know, the game itself is the most important thing. It's the object to win. So just got to stay focused on that. Because
You don't want it. And that's the harsh reality. I can't give you shit. You can't give them shit. We can give you ideas. But at the end of the day, when I was losing the weight, I had to miserably wake up every morning in the cold, because it was Indiana, November when it started. I was miserable. This is your new life. Take it or leave it. There's no happiness about it. There's no peace behind it. It sucks. It just fucking sucks. From motivated to driven, because motivation is crap. It's shit. People right now, maybe listen to this shit, they'll be motivated to go run. If it's cold somewhere where they're at, a lot of motherfuckers will shut that door, go back inside. That's motivation. It comes and go as how you feel. If you and your wife are good, if you and your kids are good, if you're good at work, you're motivated. I like a motherfucker whose life is imploded, ain't got shit in life, and says, still gotta fucking get after it today, man. That's what it's about. So that's when you move from motivation to driven to obsessed. And I want people to realize once you get to this portion over here, the driven obsessed part, you're unstoppable.
So I have absolutely no problem with betting on myself, you know? And I'm gonna win. I always call myself a fucking professional winner.
I don't see anything wrong with that. You won, and you have done it at the highest levels. Associating yourself in that regard to me is a line. Like this, I don't. That doesn't make me go, whoa, I get it. I'm a guy that goes, I get it.
Oh yeah, you feel like you won because I left all this money for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that moment. Have your fucking 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Guess what I'm about to do?
I'm gonna go do it again, but this time do it double.
Yeah, and every time it gets bigger and bigger. And the ultimate form of revenge for me is success. I'm gonna keep being successful and make you look like shit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't focus on perfection. I focus on just doing the best I can. But even within that, I have that voice in my head that will look at myself every now and then and be like, it's not that I'm a shitty person, but if I'm trying to be Mr. Olympia, like, you're not fucking doing enough. And it creates a impeding anxiety upon myself, like I'm not doing enough. And that's not like an overwhelming thing all the time. It's a drive for me to keep being better and keep pushing more and more, but it's a lot. So I think being able to manage that is one of the most challenging things of maintaining success for an extended period of time. You know, there's two different mindsets when you win something. There's, oh, I won, I did it, I'm done. And then there's, oh shit, like, I got to do better than this. I won, now I have to maintain this. Not only maintain this, but this is the bare minimum of what's expected of me, and I got to do better now.
It's time to stay focused, man. I love y'all, man. I hope this video makes you uncomfortable. Because I look at this as a mirror. You get to look yourself in the mirror and ask hard and tough questions. What am I doing every single day with my life? Creating obstacles, challenges, and distractions for myself. Pull it together, people. It's a whole nother level out here, man. Let me tell y'all something. If somebody were to tell me the shit that I'm telling y'all, my life would have changed forever ago. If I had this information right here, before I got in the game, before I got on, man, it would have saved me millions and millions of dollars.
The feeling I get is something I can't even explain by myself. I don't need anyone. That's why people come to me to motivate them. No one can motivate me. I have a resume full of fucking motivation. That whenever I'm down, I'm like, oh, hang on, motherfucker. Oh, you know the truth. You know the truth. You know the darkness of the fucking dungeons and the fucking demons that fly. You know, and then from there, it's like, oh, okay, you were there. You know this. There was no one there to pick up the rucksack, to pick up the boat, to pick up the log, to go in there. It was you. It was you. There was no pat in the fucking back at 300, at 275, at 250, at 220. No, that was you. So those things that come out of me, that extract from me in the darkness, people are looking for that pat on the back. Where is it? Oh, I don't need it.
You gotta be willing to fail. If you can't fail, what I learned in the gym is you gotta go out there and fail. You gotta go out there and fall down. Most people who have won big have failed big, okay? You know, see, even you know. And what I promised myself as a little boy, I said I can never leave the gym knowing I have 5% left. That 5% is magic. It's the magic place where very few people go. You can go there. I'm giving you permission to go there. We'll have people behind you. If you fall down and drop the weight on the floor, who cares? Who cares? But if you make it, I care. I want that. I want you to fail, and I want you to get up and do it again. The same thing in life is the same thing here. If you can do this, you can do anything. Anything. Right now, you're 5% away. 5% away from being a champion.
And if the day you start saying that you're good to go, like in a leadership position or whatever task you're working on, the day you say, I've learned everything there is to learn about this, is the day you start to lose. And I know that humility is something that you have to keep yourself in check, because again, I got asked the other day, when were you at, when was your high point of leadership? And I'm like, I never had a high point of leadership. I was always trying to learn. I was always trying to figure out what I was doing wrong and what mistakes I was making. Because if you don't do that, that's something I learned from jiu-jitsu. If you don't do that, then you're gonna get passed by, and other people are gonna figure some new way of doing it, and you're gonna be left in the dark.
Yeah, as much as I like to use the term "that was perfect," there really is nothing perfect in human beings. There's always room for improvement. There's always a shorter path. There's always a quicker victory. There's always there's always new things to learn.
been thinking a lot recently about mundane successes, these sort of small personal victories that you do in private. There's no fanfare, there's no audience, no one's even going to applaud you, no one's going to give you a pat on the back. Like, how boring of a success to say, I didn't mess up another horse's day today. Like, there is few lower magnificent successes that you could do. And yet, I think we need language around how that is something that's important, that is a victory that you should be able to say at the end of the day when you look yourself in the mirror. Hey, you were gentle with that person when you were frustrated.
Right.
This person came up to you and you were all agitated and you chose to put civility first. Like, that's something, and no one's going to give you a pat on the back for being modestly polite and civilized, right? It's cool that you say that. I really think that more language around being gentle with yourself and appreciating when you have these small, unmagnificent victories is probably something good.
Sometimes when I give advice to people that I care about, my personality is so overwhelming and I'm so crazy, like with what I do, that it's like people, they're like, I don't want to do that.
Doesn't map across onto other people?
Well, it just seems like it's too, for some people it's attractive and they go, I want to do that too. Like, you seem pretty fucking happy despite all the stress you're under. Like, how are you doing that? And I'll tell people that, because I create my own bullshit. And my own bullshit's way harder than whatever I'm facing in the world. And that's how I mitigate the stress of success and pressure and criticism and all that stuff. Like, I do to myself way worse than they're ever going to do to me. So that's how I mitigate it. Also, I calm my body. I calm my mind through calming my body. And I calm my body through work. I make it work. And I make myself do things that are very uncomfortable, that I don't want to do. And by doing that, I develop this strength and perseverance. And some people hear that and like, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to take a fucking nap. You're exhausting me. And like, I'm not you. I don't want to do that. And they just like, it takes them away from that.
If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say to yourself, you got to mean this. Like, you got to be desperate. This is no game, this. It's like, my life is not everything I want it to be. And perhaps it's not everything that I need it to be. And by need, I mean, my life is so unbearable that the suffering that's attendant upon that is make me nihilistic, cynical, bitter, resentful, homicidal, genocidal, unable to have a good relationship, prone to punish people for their virtues because of my jealousy, driving the proclivity to see evil everywhere except within my own heart. Like, these are problems, man. And you ask yourself, you sit on the bed and say, okay, man, I'm ready to learn something. Like, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I'm doing wrong, that I could fix, that I would fix? It's like, you meditate on that, you'll get an answer. And it won't be one you want, but it'll be the necessary one. You know, and it's often something that will point you to small things.
It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach, and your body is already completely exhausted from workouts in 2-a-days. It's hard to throw, catch, block, and tackle, and hit kids when they're way bigger and way more developed than you, only to go home that night bruised and battered and strained, but knowing you have to show up again the next day for just the chance to try again. But understand this, life is hard. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because football lessons teach us that success and achievement come from overcoming adversity, and that team accomplishment far exceeds anyone's individual goals. To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. If you look...
The difference between success and failure, guys, isn't a lack of strength. It isn't a lack of knowledge. Differential is a lack of will. Had the will, man. We come out here, we break the monotony up. No longer in the gym where everyone plays it safe. We're breaking that motherfucker up because we want more out of life than the normality. That's why we're here, guys. Pissed off for excellence. That's what we're doing. Come at a gym where we can throw some shit around, get some frustration out, release some of the stresses that are going on in our job, our relationships, our careers, wherever else. We dump it all here today. Grow the body and release the stress. No one's around. No third-party subjective natures that we're trying to gain likability to. Just us. And what we're gonna do, is that enough for us? We won't know until later if our hands raised or not. We put the work in now, the best of our ability, even in all fucking here, to ensure if it doesn't go our way out there, we know it wasn't because of any shortcomings that effort done today that lacked tomorrow's prosperity and greatness. No. We're here right now by ourselves, finding our roots, building ourselves up from the rubble, building that foundation that weathers all the storms of life. That's what the fuck we're here for. That's why we're here. Some people call it psychotic, Greg. Oh, you're out in the fucking whatever again. Fuck off. We'll see how much further I go than you.
So there's this idea that your thoughts are you, right? So when you keep saying, I was wrong, you're wrong, but really the ideas are wrong. Like adopting ideas is a part of you, like saying these are my opinions and I will defend them. You just got to be able to understand that that was an incorrect thought. And then you have to back engineer it and figure like, why did I have that thought? Why was I misinformed? Was I biased? Did I look at it in a shallow way? Did I not do a deep dive into the subject? Like, what was causing me to have these opinions that were incorrect? But people defend opinions as if they're defending their liver, like they're defending a part of their body. And that's silly because you are not your thoughts. You are not your opinions. You are you. And you have various opinions and various thoughts that bounce around your head all throughout the day. But if you don't base them on absolute reality and truth and honesty, you're fucked. Because then you're never going to be able to grow. You're never going to be able to, you're going to defend things that are untenable. You're going to defend ridiculous ideas because you think you're supposed to do that because other people do that and they never admit they're wrong. They're like politicians, right? Politicians never admit they're wrong. And that's a part of the flaw of that system. It's a part of the reason why people don't trust them.
When things were going well, that I was taking for some reason, taking time to go, can I try and bottle some science here to why things are going well? And I did find consistencies. Who I was hanging out with at night, what I was drinking, what bar I was at, what food I was drinking, how exercise, preparation for work, for school. And I found things I was like, you were really happy in this segment of your life. Let's go back and look at what you were doing. Oh, man, I had augmented scrolls. I was on them every day. I had some discipline where I was checking in with myself. Oh, you were going to church on Sundays. You were giving, you were saying thank you, God, before you went to bed each night. You were appreciating more. You were pointing out beautiful things and not taking them for granted. And so I found a list of things. I'm like, and when I get off track, I try to remind myself, you've been slacking on some of those. And I can pull it off. I've evolved. I got different ways. I can get away with some now. But, I've definitely found consistencies. And I think we all have them if we just notate them along the way, that they're not by accident. Because we sure as hell deconstruct the reasons when we're in the funk. And we don't believe they're by accident. We can take ourselves behind the woodshed and show ourselves exactly why we're guilty for every reason and condemn ourselves for every damn reason we got to that spot. Yeah, well, if we're gonna do that, I just say, let's cheers. Let's have a cheers on the way for all the things that'll work for when we have shit going right. Also knowing that it's not forever, that we will have a mountain to climb here shortly.
Somebody asked me the other day, what did I learn about myself from the highs and lows of my life? The highest point of my life and the lowest point of my life, what did I learn about myself? And I said, I learned that I don't let the highs and the lows affect me too much. Because we're gonna have wins, we're gonna have losses. We're gonna have successes, we're gonna have failures. We're gonna have good nights, we're gonna have bad nights. We're gonna have good relationships, we're gonna have bad relationships. We're gonna have good ideas and bad ideas. We're gonna make money, we're gonna lose money. All these things are gonna happen. And if you oscillate emotionally,
I'm still here. And I didn't tell her. And I went to the doctor. I had further heart problems and other problems. And I finally went to the doctor and they did an EKG and they're like, yeah, you had a heart situation back on this. And it was just kind of, it's like, I can't continue to live like this, you know? And my kids didn't like me. I wasn't abusive, you know, I was never, but I wasn't a very nice person. And I was just very on edge, very angry, and so I had to make some decisions. What's making me like this? I need to get it out of my life. And there were people, including family, that I'm like, nope, y'all are gone. I stopped watching the news. I'm like, nope, y'all are gone. You know, started changing my diet. Started spending a lot of time out on the front porch just smoking cigars, letting the world go by. And slowly over time, you know, got a handle on stuff. And went back to reading. You know, when I was a kid, I read heavily, you know, and went back to reading poetry and Marcus Aurelius and stuff, and just kind of got some of my perspective back.
Let's take stress as an example, and this could be stress, panic, anxiety. You know, each one of those has a definition in medical terms, psychological terms, but to be fair, no one really knows how to draw the line in the brain between fear and stress and anxiety. But we can say with certainty that all of those states involve high levels of alertness, high levels of awareness, sometimes for things in our environment and sometimes just for what's going on internally. When we are stressed, anxious, afraid, waking up in the middle of the night, doesn't matter what triggered it, there are a couple basic things that happen to all of us. First of all, our heart rate quickens. That's kind of an obvious one. Fuel from our muscles and our liver is shuttled to particular organs of the body and away from others. In particular, fuel is shuttled towards the big muscles of the body to generate large movements. This is why we quake a bit when we're stressed. The hands will shake. It's preparing us, we are prepared for movement.
How does that prepare us for movement?
The shaking actually is the consequence of trying to not move when we are stressed. Basically, this is why taking a walk or a run, you actually feel like you can kind of dispel the stress. You're not actually dispelling the stress. What's happened is, it's like the RPM are getting cranked up. It's like idling it, right? It's, you know, you could sit there in a parked car and do that, but basically you take the thing out of park and it just wants to go. And so a lot of the times when we're stressed, it's in conditions in which we're trying to remain still. Public speaking, in a tough argument, you know, at the doctor's office about to get an injection, you know, it depends on what stresses people, obviously. But that readiness for action is a second component. So heart rate, readiness for action by way of shuttling glucose and other fuels to the muscles, and then away from the reproductive organs, from digestive organs, et cetera, because that is just not the right time for that. Another very, very powerful feature of this response is that our pupils of our eyes, the dark parts of our eyes, get big. Now, you might think that that expands your visual field, but actually the way the optics of the eye work, that narrows the aperture of your visual field. So when you are stressed, you literally are seeing things through a small aperture, soda straw view of the world, as they say. And under those conditions, you cannot see things in your periphery as well as you could prior to being stressed, but you become exquisitely good at measuring small detailed changes in whatever it is that you happen to be looking at. Now, there's an internal process too, which is that the aperture on your thinking also becomes very, very narrow. So that if, for instance, well, I had this happen the other day. I heard something very stressful. I couldn't think about anything else, right? And that might just seem logical. Like, of course you can't think about anything else. It's very stressful. You're concerned about this. But my mind wasn't thinking about this particular incident. It was thinking, if this, then this, then if that, then that, and that, then that. And so you start, you know, dropping into the future. You start dropping into the past, like, oh God, why did we do that? Why, you know, and you start doing all that kind of cycling through things. And of course, there are so many things that can help relax us. Meditation, exercise, a nice healthy meal, social connection.
Last week, I got an interview for a dream internship with a professional hockey team. I went on the official site and found someone who had an important title and emailed him and called him every day, even though I got his voicemail, until one day I received a call back. I was granted an interview and I was on cloud 9. I went out and bought a suit, I worked on my resume, I Googled the interviewer and was prepared, all the 7 Ps, right? During the interview, he asked me what my experience was in the sports media and public relations field. I said, I don't have any, sir, but I'm willing to do anything and everything to be a sponge and learn for free. He asked me if I had a college degree. I said, sir, I've been going to night school for the last 2 years working on my associate's degree. School's been tough while still being active duty in the Marines, but I've been working hard on my degree and will continue to. He then asked to see my resume, which I could tell by the look in his face, he wasn't impressed. I said, sir, I've been a Marine since I was 18. I've served 3 tours in Iraq. I've had more responsibility than anyone just walking out of college with a fancy degree. I've been in charge of lives and got them home safe. Greg, it seemed as if he didn't even care. He told me with my lack of experience in the industry, no fancy college degree, and a weak resume, he just didn't have an internship to offer me. I shook his hand, thanked him for his time, and walked out. When I got home and I looked in the mirror, I saw failure. I saw a dream come to reality and realized it might just be that, a dream. Fuck. Hard for me to read this, guys, because it's a trip down memory lane for me. And shit I've gone through. Greg, how do I move past this? How do I become successful as a civilian when all I know is the military? Right now I lost my confidence and my fear of it. If I get out, I would feel failure would take over. I know you were a company commander, you were in the Rangers, and you got out and succeeded. Can you offer me any advice, words of wisdom, put some confidence back in me? Thank you for everything you provide on your site. You make us all winners. Anonymous, U.S. Marine. It sucks reading that. It's not fair. This guy's got more heart, more dedication. He's gone through adversity more times than anyone coming out of college ever has. Real life principles, policies, problem-solving techniques applied when it really mattered. Not for spreadsheet analysis, but for life and death. And a businessman who isn't half the fucking man he is, interviewing him, says I can't offer you a position. Fucking bullshit. That's life. It's not supposed to be fair. It's not supposed to be an easy sale of it. It's the challenges of it that make it worthwhile. It's the memories. It's the feeling of despair. How you got nothing left and no one's around to help and you're at the bottom of the barrel. That feeling so ingrained and so depressing that it flips a coin on itself and turns into the fuel, the internal drive, the motivation to see something through, to get out of that shitty situation. Where success is the greatest form of revenge. When someone says no and you say yes, and even though you get beat down, one day you rise above it. So much so that you're looking down on that motherfucker. But you don't say anything, because action speaks louder than words. Knowing how you felt at one time. Knowing how you feel now. One of the beautiful highs of life. From dark to light. From unknown to fame.